YouTube's copyright system is broken. In fact, YouTube itself is broken. If you watch almost any music YouTuber, you've likely already heard this, and I'm here to join the bandwagon. I'm also here to tell you how copyright applies to Lost Wave, and how bad actors can and have taken advantage of it, and what you can do to help. I was thinking about flashing a boring content alert here, but I feel like that'd be doing this video a disservice. I think this is incredibly important to talk about, and I also hope that you find this interesting. Heck, you might even learn something. Gasp. And if you watch anything, watch the end. Seriously, use the chapters in the video. I'll label it, if you watch one part of this video, watch this part. With that being said, let me join this train and tell you why YouTube is broken. Recently, a number of music YouTubers have shared their struggles with copyright claims on YouTube. And in the vast majority of these cases, it seems fairly clear that these copyright claims are invalid. Two videos pushed me to talk about this, and they're both worth watching after this. Professor Rock, who I consider to be somewhat of a model for this channel, and Mike the Snare, who did a great job at covering the broad strokes of the issues at hand here. Link to both of those videos in the description below. Now let me explain a bit about fair use and copyright before I go into one of the most head-scratching concepts I face as a Lost Wave YouTuber, Orphaned works. Again, I'm scratching the surface here, and Mike the Snare's video is worth watching if you're interested in more depth. But essentially, YouTubers such as myself exist thanks to a concept called fair use, which is not just going on all the rides at the county fair. Fair use is essentially a law saying you can use, at least to some extent, copyrighted work as a creator that doesn't own that copyrighted work. And this is super important. I 100% guarantee you that a YouTuber you watch, not including mine, only exists because of fair use. Every Let's Play, every speedrun, every movie critique, and yes, every music analysis channel would not survive if we had to go out and get the permission of each and every copyright owner first. Not only are the logistics of this just head to the wall frustrating, but even if we were able to get a hold of every single copyright owner, how many do you think would get back to us? Of those that did, can you imagine, for example, how much Disney would charge to discuss a video about the Avengers on a YouTube channel? And I know what some of you are thinking. What if you can't find the copyright holder? Spoilers. The point is that fair use is important for the vast majority of YouTube content creators out there, myself included. Now I'm going to have to briefly tell you about YouTube Content ID. YouTube's Content ID system is YouTube's main method of controlling and monitoring copyrighted content on YouTube. The system lets anyone with a YouTube account submit a copyright takedown request. More on that in a second. The bigger point to pay attention to here is that any sufficiently big channel, media company, etc. can get access to YouTube's enterprise copyright match tool, as well as other copyright systems. And the only nebulous requirements to get access to this are how often you upload, whether you're managing a company account, and if you've used the standard copyright takedown request a number of times. I wish I was making this up. Now, from a certain point of view, this is not a bad thing. YouTube faces a unique challenge. As of early 2025, 2.6 million videos are uploaded every day, averaging over 518,400 hours. Not even a company as big as Google could pay enough people to manually review each of those videos for copyright. Obviously, a copyright match tool has to exist, and it can be useful. For example, when I uploaded my Saw video for Emotion before it was even public, YouTube let me know that the modern re-release of Emotion was copyrighted. Luckily, in this instance, there was no restriction on using it, but it could have easily been restricted so the ad revenue that I make from that video would go to, at least in part, the copyright owner. Now, in this case, I'd obviously support that because, well, Emotions is a song by a private view, and it's their right to do with their song what they will. But this system can and has been abused for years now. Seriously, search and you'll find thousands of stories of YouTubers, both big and small, getting hit with false copyright claims. How can this happen, you ask? Well, first off, anyone has access to YouTube's standard copyright takedown request. They have to, because by law, YouTube has to offer a way for a copyright owner to claim that their copyright is being violated. But that's where the issues start. And here, the issues are twofold. Number one, big companies can use special tools YouTube has to bulk claim copyright issues. while usually ignoring whether fair use is a factor. And number two, you can submit a copyright claim and force a YouTuber to go through an arduous process where private information can go directly to a bad actor. And this can lead to a YouTube channel getting terminated permanently. Now before, I mentioned how Content ID can force ad revenue sharing, but Content ID can also lead to a far more severe penalty, a copyright strike. Again, there is a good purpose to this because there are bad actors that would happily upload all the copyrighted content they could, but at the same time, if you get a copyright strike in an instance of clear fair use, or in the case of someone abusing the system, you start to worry. For many creators, YouTube is their livelihood, and even if it isn't, I can't monetize my channel yet, more on that later. Most creators have spent significant time making videos, and to lose all of that because of bad actors or companies that are just abusing the system, well, it's a major gut punch. For these companies, making a claim is incredibly easy and fighting it is incredibly hard. Yes, you can appeal, but how much YouTube really pays attention to those appeals is unclear, but from what I've seen, it's not a lot. Some of the biggest creators out there, some of those music creators I mentioned, for example, or one of my favorite YouTubers, Cinema Sticks, face absolutely BS Content ID claims. What is, in most cases, obvious fair use is apparently less than obvious to YouTube. You have to appeal each claim, and some videos will have multiple claims before you can make it public again, or at all, as the case may be. Not only that, but your video can suddenly face a copyright claim, which means there could be a period of time where YouTube runs ads on your video, but because you're dealing with a copyright claim, you're not collecting any ad revenue. And if you win that claim, you'll get that money back, right? Of course not. It's gotten to the point where YouTubers are hiring attorneys to fight these copyright claims because YouTube is far more likely to believe you if you're sending them a letter from the law firm of Larry, Curly, and Moe. And that is a sad state of affairs, as is the fact that, as I mentioned, anyone can make a claim. And while YouTube does require information like name, email, and physical address to make a copyright claim, it's clear that they don't really review that. I know from experience, as fellow Lost Wave YouTuber Q dealt with a fake copyright claim with a fake first name, fake last name, fake postal address, temporary email. And if you want to fight a copyright claim, you have to provide the same information back to the person who originally made the claim. Now, theoretically, this is so that they can choose to bring you to court and have the information to do so, but there are multiple instances of people collecting this information to dox someone. Of course, you could hire a law firm to do this, or form an LLC, but that would require money to either retain an attorney or to open a business checking account and form an LLC, because you can't intermingle funds if you have an LLC. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, let me know in the comments below. Let's move on to the next question I mentioned. Fair use is obviously using a work you know is copyrighted in a way that conforms with the law. But what if you know a work is likely copyrighted, but can't find any information about the copyright owner? In this case, what we have on our hands is called an orphaned work, which isn't just the sad sequel to Orphan Black. Of course, just like everything, Wikipedia has an article about this. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it to you. The important thing to know is that even though we don't know who the copyright on these works belongs to, copyright law still applies, which means that fair use also still applies, per Yale University. Now, the United States has tried twice to address the orphaned works issue, but failed, though it's potentially worth noting that use of orphaned works wouldn't be penalized as heavily as a standard copyright violation as long as a diligent search has been completed looking for the copyright owner, which I'd say is absolutely the case for any Lost Wave song. Of course, fair use would still protect someone like me regardless, but I thought it was worth noting. The problem is, if you know a work is an orphaned work, nothing really prevents you from claiming the copyright as your own on YouTube. It's happened numerous times, and the only way it's undone is issuing a counterclaim and hoping for the best, or saying that it's fair use. But then you have to sit knowing that someone that's not the artist is making money by claiming that they are the artist, and that just sucks. By the way, if you're an artist in a situation where someone else profited by claiming your work was theirs, while you can easily move the YouTube content ID so that future earnings come to you, getting those past earnings would require an attorney, which is usually such an expensive proposition that it's really not worth it. And again, that's just a sucky situation. But let's move on, because copyright and content ID aren't the only thing on YouTube that's broken. In fact, YouTube's entire support infrastructure isn't just broken, it's practically non-existent. If you had the situation I mentioned happen to her channel, Sveta and I both reached out to internal contacts we have at YouTube to try to resolve the situation. Not because we wanted to, but because there wasn't really another option. Yes, there is a way to contact YouTube on, get this, Twitter, and yes, I'm not going to call it whatever elongated muskrat wants to call it now. But anyway, you can reach out to them on Twitter, which we also did, by the way. But in the vast majority of cases, all you'll get back are incredibly boilerplate responses. Same goes for when you reply to phony or incorrect content ID or copyright claims on YouTube. 99% of the time, you're just going to get a boilerplate reply. Again, as I mentioned earlier, unless you get an attorney. And there is one way to contact YouTube support through YouTube, but you can't even access it unless you have joined the YouTube Partner Program. That is to say, you've monetized your channel. If you haven't joined the YouTube Partner Program, all you get is directed to the YouTube Support Forum, which is run by volunteers known as Google Product Experts. I know this, by the way, because I am a Google Product Expert in Google Ads. And while product experts can help, we are somewhat limited to what we can do. And I can't tell you much more because, of course, Google made me sign an NDA to be a product expert. And so let's talk briefly about joining the YouTube Partnership Program. Joining the program has 3 major requirements, the first of which is adhering to YouTube's content policies. One of these is YouTube ensuring that your channel doesn't have what YouTube calls inauthentic content. So a channel like Q's YouTube, which may fit the other 2 requirements to join the YouTube Partnership Program and become monetized, can't, because there, near the bottom of the inauthentic content examples, is collections of songs from different artists. To be clear, Q wouldn't want to monetize because it'd be taking advantage of the artists, but she could turn ads off on her channel entirely and still gain access to YouTube creator support. Anyway, my channel is different because I'm providing discussion and only utilizing these tracks through fair use. So at least in terms of adhering to YouTube policies, I'm covered. But the other requirements, well, one is the subscriber requirement, which I've met, and thank you for that. By the way, generic, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That being said, the other requirement is watch hours. And that's where I'm very much lacking. See, as of time of recording, I need about 1,500 more watch hours to qualify for some benefits, like paid subscriptions and Super Chat, and 2,500 more watch hours to qualify for full monetization. By the way, here's where I'd also love to point out that YouTube can run ads on my channel already, but I won't get any revenue from ads until I reach the 4,000 watch hour threshold. Oh, and of course, I won't get any of the revenue that YouTube has made off of ads before I become monetized. Nope, Google gets to keep that because I guess they're strapped for cash. And there are reasons I want this that aren't financial. Chances are, once I do monetize, my videos will make a few dollars a month, if that. But I was searching for a number of the songs that I've covered, including the term Lost Wave on YouTube, and my channel didn't come up. I have no idea why, and the YouTube Twitter account didn't help me. Of course, I'm not sure creator support would help me either. See, there was a case with a huge YouTuber I watched, ProZD, and one of his most well-known videos not showing up in search. And even he couldn't get anything out of YouTube until thousands of his fans made enough noise for YouTube to admit that they'd made a mistake and accidentally marked some of his videos as having adult content. Yikes. I can't say why my channel isn't showing up in searches that it should, nor can I say that YouTube would be able to solve my problem even if I could contact them. YouTube has a relative monopoly on user-created streaming, simply because the cost of creating and operating something even remotely similar to YouTube would be astronomical. But at the same time, I'd at least love to be able to have access to stuff like Super Chat, which would enable me to live stream far more frequently. So I'm asking you, if you can, please watch as many of my videos as you can. Just watch them. You don't even have to actively watch them. You can play them in the background, play them at the gym, go to sleep and hit the play button and make sure you have autoplay on. Just watch them. And if you could, tell anyone you think would enjoy a channel like this to watch and like and subscribe as well. It'd mean the world to me, and it'd let me know that I'm not wasting my time in creating content about such an incredibly niche subject matter. Thanks. Until next time, I'm Personal Distraction, and I'm now listening to